That time again. Episode 10. Trev's Review Show, right here on Trev TV. I'm the Trev. Y'all know that. If you're tuning in, if you're watching. Too sweet. Anyway. What kind of a guy in the Western world owns a Russian watch? This guy. This was a birthday present to myself years ago. I have to replace the wristband, that's why I don't wear it regularly. But I am getting completely off topic right now. Sticking with the review shows that I've done the last maybe 6 days now, at least a week. Reviewing something that actually is by request. Not so much the album that I'm going to review. I'm reviewing music today. Not so much the album, but the artist. And I say artist because it's not really a band of dudes. It's one artist as a band. Of course, I am talking about Burzum. Say it right. It's not Burzum. It's not Burzum. Burzum. It's all in how you roll the R. You got to roll it. It's like Rammstein. You don't say Rammstein. You don't say Rammstein. It's Rammstein. You have to roll the R to say it properly. But anyway, yeah, this comes by request. I actually had, ever since I did the De Mysterious Dom Satanas review, I had a few people messaging me, even putting on the video, hey, do Burzum. So, today, I'm going to oblige. Hold tight, we're going to have fun. Internal debate I had with wanting to review Bartson is which album. And I didn't want to review any of the ambient albums. It's not that I don't like them. I'm not a huge fan of ambient, regardless of what genre it might be, and regardless of how heavy it might be. I've just never been a fan of ambience. Instrumentals are fine. I like instrumentals, but I'm not the hugest fan of ambience. And it was kind of like, do I review one that has more ambient and less death-curling scream? Or do I review the death-curling scream and less ambient? And I figure, well, I might as well go with the one that I've been hooked on for the last few days, and that being Filosofem. This is Bartson's 4th studio album, 5th recording if you count the ASCII EP, which is Norwegian for ashes. If you haven't seen the cover, I'll show it to you right now. But Filosofem is Norwegian for Filosofem, which it translates to English as philosophy. It's the 4th studio album by Burzum. It was recorded in March '93. It was the last recording by one Varg Vikernes, or as he's known now as Louis, before he was sent to prison. And I'll get to that somewhere near the end as to what happened. If you don't know the history, I'll spoil it for you then. But it wasn't released till January '96 due to obvious complications. But there was a music video made for Dunkelheit, which is the German term for the song Burzum, and received airtime on MTV and VH1. So, not bad for one of Norway's finest imports. It's more of an experimental album in the sense, as I said, there's a lot more ambient. There's more synthesizers. And despite being in the genre, I don't really know if I classify this one as black metal, much less second wave black metal. I mean, yeah, it's heavy, it's metal, but aside from production value, I think that's probably the only thing that would call it black metal. But according to Vikernes, or Louis, this is the anti-trend album. And if you're ever going to make an anti-trend album, I guess that's the kind of album you want to make, right? So, having said all that, let's dig into this one. Let's get into it. Song number 1 is titled Bartson, which is Norwegian or German even for darkness. They had a Norwegian print and a German print. It's I guess depending on where you look, some places have it pronounced as Burzum, and some places have it pronounced as Dunkelheit. For the sake of not being up to par on my European, I'm gonna give you the titles in English because it's only fair. Now, if you're a fan of high quality production, this is not the album for you. You might want to find people doing covers of said songs on this album, because that'll probably be the only way you get good production. Now, a lot of people say Dunkelheit, Bartson is their best track, and I'm almost inclined to agree, only I find there are better tracks for me, anyway, as opposed to Dunkelheit. One thing you'll notice about this album is a lot of repetition. There's a lot of flowing around one chord. And not that that's a bad thing. There's your synthesizer right there. I don't know if you heard it as well as I did. But a lot of the songs kind of stretch a little further than they need to. Like Bartson, Dunkelheit, whatever you want to call it, is 7 minutes. Now, I don't know if you can hear the lyrics or the lyrics as well, if I can hear it, but this is not the blood-curdling scream that I wanted to avoid. So I call it that. Not that I'm against blood-curdling screaming. I mean, Lamb of God's my favorite band. That should tell you a lot. The vocals are a lot less screaming in your ear and a little more understandable. Having said that, though, if you're wanting to pay attention to the vocals and wanting to understand the lyrics, good luck. Good luck. Even with headphones, it takes me kind of going, to understand what he's saying. But again, it's basic structure, basic song structure. Take a break. All in all, I have no complaints with Dunkelheit. And like I said, a lot of people say this is their best track. I'm not one of them. I'm sorry. And it's not a knock against them at all. I just think, in my mind, like I said, there are better tracks. And for me, it's a lot of, I'm a fan of speed. I'm a fan of fast. This is a great song. It's not something I would recommend to people right off the hop, but I will get to one that I will recommend to people right off the hop. We've got time for a neat little bridge, if you want to call it that. Just kind of slowing the pace down a little more. Right there. It's actually spoken word. I don't know how well you can hear it from where you're sitting. I can hear it nicely, but if you can hear it, great. If you know what he's saying, hey, great. It's awesome. Again, it's a good song. It's a good song. And remember, I was saying there are other songs I would recommend to other people first. This is one of them, and it's not because of the title. The title is Jesus' Death in English. Norwegian is Jesu død. In German, it's Jesus Tod. This is probably the only time I actually break down translations for you, because from this point out, the titles get a little bit complicated. wish I could tremolo. I really do. It's not that I can't. It's not that I lack the skill to tremolo. I cramp when I want to tremolo. So based on that, I don't know if I'll ever be able to tremolo, but we'll see. We'll see. The funny thing about this song that I've heard in interviews with Varg and with other people is when you record the drums for this song, they didn't have a double bass, so they had to sample basically him kicking the shit out of one and then putting it beside another one that he's shit kicking so that you get double bass, which we haven't run into yet, but we're getting there. And just the scale that he's using for evil. Oh, I love evil. But again, this is the song I'll recommend to anybody wanting to learn about Bartson. That and Ia, Lord of the Depths, from the self-titled album. See? Can you hear the double bass? Please let me know if you can't hear the things I'm trying to point out. The song comes in at 8.5 minutes. And it's following the same scale around the same chord. Just basically it as far as you get for melody. I guess there's a slight range of difference when you get to chorus, but for the most part it's basically this, some scaling, some sweeping for 8.5 minutes. And this is what I mean by a lot of it was bigger vocals. This was it as far as overplayed. And I mean, I'm not knocking the way songs are written or song structure. I mean, how anybody writes their music is how they write their music. But for 8.5 minutes, I mean, you could turn this into a 5-minute song and got the same kind of music in. Here's your chorus. Like that for about a minute. Back to the same scale. That's really about it for this song. I mean, it's an amazing song. I love this one. And like I said, this is one I'd recommend to anybody who's never heard Bartson. Just to see A, if they'd like it, B, if they get used to the repetition. But the more you listen to it, the more you just dig it for what it is. I don't know, for me, like I said, this is one that I love, personally. I should also mention, this song is sung in Norwegian. So if you're a fan of international flavor, this is a good album for you. You know, if you want it all in English, good luck. Record it yourself with English lyrics, or you can find English lyrics for it. But why tinker with something that doesn't need to be fixed? Ain't broken, don't fix it, right? Number 3. I'm not even going to try and say this in European. So, in English, Beholding the Daughters of the Firmament. I forgot to mention this song is only this album is only 6 songs long. But overall time length comes in at 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 34 seconds. I honestly believe this is one of the underrated tracks in the Bartson catalog. It's good as far as a metal song should be. Sure, I'll call it metal. It comes off to me as hard rock with an edge, is how I would put it. But as I said, very underrated. But this song should be in anybody's top 20 as far as Bartson songs are concerned. And it's very simplistic, like Dunkelheit, like Jesus is Death. There's not a lot of complication to it. This one rings in at 7 minutes and 53 seconds. Remember that number. I haven't tried practicing this one yet. I haven't looked through the tabs. I've actually been trying to practice Ia and Jesus is Death, but again, tremolo. I've already explained me and tremolo. So thankfully songs like this are not full of tremolo. Jesus is Death is 8.5 minutes of tremolo picking. So does that explain why I cramp with tremolo? I hope it does. This intro is going on over 2 minutes. Not that that's a bad thing. Like I said, how people write their songs is how people write their songs. I'm not going to complain. But, again, some of them are long. This one's in English, so if you want to learn the lyrics, look it up. It'll be hard to find. Your bridge, very simple. Nothing complicated to it. That's pretty much the song. Again, it's not a bad song at all. It's another one of those ones that I thoroughly enjoy. Very underrated. Very underrated. Slight bit of change-up. It's not a change-up that's going to last long. It's not a change-up that's going to go anywhere different. It'll go right back to where it began. See? There's no complications in Varg's writing skills at all. I mean, yeah, it's not basic song structure. It's not basic tempo. But it's not complicated. Number 4. Decrepitude number 1. And this is where ambient starts kicking in. You do have guitar in this song, but I think guitar is supposed to be part of the ambient. This is pretty much it. There is synth in here. There is some vocal, but it's so buried in everything else you can hardly find it. I don't know if you heard it. It is there. But again, it's buried in my mind under everything else. I also forgot to mention, at least for myself anyway, after song 3, that's it for me. Again, not the hugest fan of ambient, but it doesn't take away from the overall feel of this album at all. There are other songs that do that. Now this song, do you remember the last song came in at 7:53? This song comes in at 7:53. Whether that's intentional or not, I don't know. We'll have to ask Louis. But it's a neat little coincidence. But still, remember that number. Again, that's pretty much it for the song. 5. And again, my European is rusty, so I'm not even going to try and pronounce it in European, in Norwegian, in German, nothing like that, and you'll understand after I pronounce the title. Circumambulation of the transcendental columns of singularity. If you really want, I'll put the European title in there for you. And again, ambient takes over on this one for 25 minutes and 11 seconds. Now, again, not being a fan of ambient, it was really hard for me to be enticed, stuck, or otherwise hooked on a song like this. It's not that it's bad. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. This is... yeah. I don't know what else I can say about this song, really. It's not one of my favorites. It's not a go-to. And it's not one you'll find on my playlist, just for the fact, not so much because it's 25 minutes. It's really because it's that repetitious. Really. I mean, you got your synth and you got your keyboard. And that's about it. It's complete instrumental. It's complete ambient. And you can hear the keyboard starting to kick in now. But even if I stop this now, you've already caught the backbone of the song. Now you're catching the front. I think if it were me writing this song, it would just be a case of what kind of keys can I press and what kind of sound will they make for 25 minutes. That's basically it. For 25 minutes. That's all this song is. Song 6. And the final song on the album. And another ambient instrumental piece. Decrepitude 2. Now, you remember me saying, remember the number 753? Now 2 songs have already come in at 7 minutes and 53 seconds. Here's your third. Once is cool. Twice is coincidence. 3, you're doing this on purpose. Again, it's another instrumental. More ambient. Like I said, after the first 3 songs, for me anyway, it's hard to stick to listening to it because of my point of view on ambient. And I get it, everybody's musical taste is different. So if you dig this, you'll love this album. Noise. It's actually not bad. It's more than just one pattern, which is a great thing. But it doesn't really change much beyond this point. It takes, I guess you say it samples its own work. Like if you can hear the samples from Decrepitude 1 in the background, it's basically, I don't know, a song with a sample from the album that it's on turned into another song. It is very sound effect, very keyboard, and very sample. None of it makes it a bad song. I don't want to say it screams lazy, but it's it really doesn't hold on to me as a listener as much as it should. Anyway, that was Filosofem by Burzum. Burzum. Overall, and I've said this throughout this whole recording, for me, it ended after beholding the daughters of the Firmament. 4, 5, and 6. I guess when you need an album to have filler, you can make filler. And again, it doesn't take away from how good an album it is. It, in my mind, it doesn't really push it to a kick-ass album. Like, if it was a compilation that had Dunkelheit, Jesus' Death, Ia, Infernal Screams, even Lost Wisdom. If Lost Wisdom was on this album as opposed to the album before, that would be awesome. But again, I didn't write this album, but Varg did. Overall, not a bad album. Let's get into some specifics though, and I will get to that spoiler I told you about. So as I mentioned earlier in this video, this album was recorded in March '93. This, along with the first 3 albums and the ASCII EP, were recorded between, where is it? January '92 and March '93, and they were just spread out in between months, in between releases, with the exception of Filosofem. It was given a couple year treatment. The album artwork is by Theodore Kitzelson, sorry. And the title of this artwork is called Up in the Hills, A Clarion Call Rings Out. So it wasn't all RPGs and burnt churches and all that as far as Bartson album art was concerned. There was actual good artwork on there. Not saying the artwork and all the previous stuff was bad, but there was actual, artwork. And it was released in January '96. Now, why was it released in January '96? Let's find out. Oh, I will stop with the Varg impressions. If you don't know your black metal history, not long after this was recorded, keep in mind, Varg and that dipshit named Euronymous were good friends up until something drove them apart, whether it was the fact that Euronymous wasn't paying him for albums sold, whether it was the fact that Euronymous wanted to make sure his name was front and center as it was concerned to the Norwegian black metal scene, or whether it was because Euronymous was just a complete dick. It led to them having a fallout, a big fallout. Maybe it was the fact too that Euronymous, in Varg's words, had said that he was going to use a shock pistol, or what we know as a taser, shock him with it, take him to the forest, tie him up, and kill him and make a film out of it. Maybe. But anyway, it led to Varg ending up stabbing Euronymous to death in August of '93. Now, Varg was on the run for about 10 days, and then he got arrested, which ultimately led to the complications of this album coming out. This album didn't see the light of day till January '96. Varg was sentenced in May of '94. So I imagine there was a lot of loopholes and a lot of other things that I don't quite understand that prevented this from being released, but once it got released, great thing for him, right? So yeah, he was sentenced to 21 years, which is the maximum penalty they can give you in Norway for the murder, and they convicted him of 4 church burnings. No, not Notre Dame. Of course, I don't know if they ever did say if that was a human result, or if that was just a case of, hey, we just had it, we're spontaneously combusting. What do I think of this album? If you're looking for my overall review rating, let's take into consideration a few things. How much I spoke highly of the first 3 tracks, and how much I didn't speak highly of the last three. Now, all this comes into consideration when I like to do my rating. And as far as going on my, I'm not using a Dave Meltzer gimmick rating system, I'm giving this album a 3. It could have been better. It could have been worse. It could have been full ambient, which I'm sure if it was, I wouldn't be listening to it. Again, it's not that I have a problem with ambient. It's just not my cup of tea. For some it is, and hey, congrats to you. But for me, like I said, after Dunkelheit, after Jesus' death, and Beholding the Daughters of the Firmament, that was it. That was the album for me. It's sad to say, but it's the truth. For the recording of this album, why would it be any different than any of Bartson's earlier releases? Shitty lo-fi quality, which actually sounded good compared to self-titled. No amplifiers. The guitar was hooked up to a stereo, or the amplifier in a stereo, with a very old fuzz pedal. And as far as a microphone went, I don't know if you remember the trailer for Lords of Chaos where you see What's His Nuts screaming into a set of headphones. That was his mic. I shit you not. And I'm sure the synthesizer and the keyboard were not old and shitty, but were actually of good use. So that was my review of Filosofem. And that was also episode 10 of Trev's Review Show. I want to thank you for tuning in. Your viewership has always meant so much to me. Always has, always will. And if you want to hear me rant and rave about a certain album, or if you have any ideas you want me to review, let me know. Put in the comments, message me directly. If I like it, if I want to review it, I'll review it. You know, I mean, I have a couple albums in mind I want to do that I probably will end up doing. It's just a matter of timing, as is most things. But, yeah, now I'm just rambling. So you can find Trev TV on Facebook at Trev's TV. You can find Trev TV on Instagram at rockstartrev TV. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, there's a little red button somewhere in the bottom corner there. Hit that. And then you'll be able to see all the videos that I come up with to date. As for future videos, I almost hate to say this because I'm so anti-script. I've got the next script for Trev TV written. And that's only because I have to do this video. And it's nothing like I have a gun against my head saying I have to do it. I want to do this, so I have to do it. You'll see it in 6 days. I'm going to continue on with other reviews. I will get deeper into Spartacus, Gods of the Arena. I'll probably get a start on the Transformers review. And being we are in the conference finals of the NHL playoffs, there's a Stanley Cup prediction coming. It's just a matter of when. But either way, in the meantime, and in between time, be on the lookout for more videos from the Trev. Later.